I put mine back in that. Courtney, Thomas, we're going to take a picture with the women's chamber. I need you. Both of you guys.
This is the burn operation.
We got one red, one white. Oh, awesome. What happened to Glendora? Did you lose your post? Oh, okay. What happened to Glendora? Did we miss the Glendora? Oh, they should. They had the same stuff.
Okay, we're about to go live here in downtown Hot Springs at the top of the garage where the economic development plan will be announced for downtown. Stick around here on this YouTube channel.
Get started.
Do other things and spread the word. You know anybody else on the Facebook?
Let's do that.
Let them know about what's going on tonight. It should be going on in about 3 or 4 minutes here at the parking garage. Also, if you're here in town, still got a couple minutes to run by. Feel free to come down here and
I'm following
see what they propose. So I'm going to get back one of the cameras and we'll see you in a few minutes here at the Hot Springs Broadcast Network.
Got it. Good.
Okay, you guys are all live on YouTube, so just wait. There we go.
The stone was.
You too.
And I tried the everybody about the idea. No. Well, then I met a guy
Yeah. And they're wearing skinwalkers here and they're very popular. Oh, we are. Yeah, we are. I told Bill that today or the next meeting we had with the girls and said, keep the sign. I said, we've already targeted some things. Yeah, yeah.
You really never know what. You're right about that.
That's right.
Yes, it's a new shirt. I've got several nice new shirts and Dillard's on sale. Here. And there's somebody to pick up my chicken for me.
Good evening. If we could have you all take your seats, if there are any left, that'd be great. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to see you all here. Thank you all for coming. Most importantly, thank you for your interest in our downtown. I'm Lance Spicer. I'm with the City of Hot Springs. I have the pleasure of introducing and welcoming everyone this evening. We're delighted to be able that you can join us and present the findings of this Downtown Development Action Plan by Thomas P. Miller and Associates. We have Mr. Tom West, the Senior Vice President of the firm. This action plan was made possible by a grant from the Economic Development Administration, which is a division of the U.S. Department of Commerce. These EDA grants are funded, locally led initiatives that foster economic expansion and community growth. The local funding is comprised of the Hot Springs Metro Partnership, and the majority of the funds coming from the City of Hot Springs. At this time, we would like to recognize our local officials that are in attendance, that have provided the leadership and guidance to pursue these initiatives. So if you would, please stand and be recognized. Here we go. Thank you all. Well, there's not a more appropriate place to be than here on the parking deck. We've got the National Park surrounding us, got the busy Central Avenue below us. We've got a world-class educational institution to the north in the Arkansas School for Math, Science, and the Arts. We've got our new joint partnership with Henderson State and National Park College on the south end. We literally have everything in between. We've got great restaurants. We have amazing art galleries, bathhouses, microbreweries, and obviously our namesake thermal waters. And also, we can't talk about Hot Springs without mentioning our many festivals and events that go on here. Starting tomorrow, we have the Documentary Film Festival kicking off. We also have the world's shortest St. Patrick's Day Parade just down the street, and also the 25-year tradition that is the Hot Springs Gallery Walk. There literally is something for everyone here. Now, the past several years, downtown itself has been evolving into a vibrant place to live, to work, to play, and to visit. We're positioned for the growth. We have momentum on our side, yet there's always room for improvement, and that's why we're here. The challenge before us is to maximize that growth and provide the environment to achieve these long-term, sustainable growth. To address these pressing issues, we commissioned this downtown development study. With an undertaking of this magnitude, obviously there are many people to thank for their contribution to this plan. I see several members here. We want to thank TKZ Development with the Medical Arts Building for hosting that open house. It's a great venue there. It's going to be an amazing project. TKZ, if you're not aware, is Anthony Taylor, Bob Kempkis, and Robert Zunick. I think you're going to be hearing a lot about that group when it comes to downtown development in the near future. And obviously, we do have our steering committee. There are several members here in attendance, and we'd like to recognize them for all the hard work that they put forth in the background in compressing all this information and putting it into this plan that we have before us. So let's recognize those folks as well. Please stand. Yes, you deserve it. Now, there is one noticeable absence here on that steering committee, and that is our former city manager, David Watkins. Mr. Watkins passed away unexpectedly about a month and a half ago. And with the passing of David, the city not only lost a leader, a boss, and a mentor to myself, more importantly, downtown lost a real champion. That was someone who truly believed in what was possible, believed it more than anyone. However, the loss of David will not derail the progress we are experiencing. There's too much hard work and involvement that will serve to revitalize the commercial core, strengthen businesses, and keep a sense of place, only like Hot Springs can. Now, what brings us here? Obviously, there's a galvanizing event. February 27th, we had a tragic fire at the former Majestic Hotel. It burned the historic portion of it. That event itself was not just a a building that burned. That event sparked a movement to redevelop and preserve our famed downtown, and that's why we're here this evening. The community has used the Majestic Hotel fire as an opportunity to recommit to the preservation and enhancement of our downtown to the great benefit of the citizens, but also to all Arkansans. As you know, in any city, a downtown is seen as the front door to your community. It's more of a gathering place. It kind of gives you a glimpse of what the community has to offer. And with that, Hot Springs has rolled out the welcome mat to visitors for centuries. This downtown is iconic. And to that end, our city board should be commended for many of the actions that they have taken in the last 2 years that have really sparked a lot of the development. The formation of the Thermal Basin Fire District is obviously one of the more landmark items that have come through for downtown Hot Springs. The Thermal Basin heightened public awareness and urgency downtown's existing conditions. It also, in an effort to stimulate the building and development, fee waivers were initiated throughout the city with special incentives offered for downtown development. And one more major investment that I'd like to touch on is the extension of a water main that provides the additional fire capacity, and we saw it as a cost-effective way to offer greater fire protection. Now, in closing, in the coming years, America's First Resort will undergo some improvements to enhance an already what we all feel is an outstanding front door that welcomes so many to the spa city. These improvements will attract businesses, encourage quality development of all kinds, including residential, retail, commercial, helping our downtown live up to its great reputation. This plan that Tom is going to roll out for you gives steps to help downtown become even more economically vibrant, livable, walkable, mobile, inclusive, diverse, and culturally alive, all while preserving the history and our authentic Hot Springs character. This plan is not about losing anything. It's more about creating opportunities to maximize what we already have. And finally, to you, our partners, your participation and your attendance here tonight motivates us to continue our work. We're energized by your presence and will continue to rely on you for inspiration, vision, dedication, and most importantly, leadership. Thank you. Mr. Tom West.
Wow. How do you follow that, y'all? I'm inspired to want to move now. Here. Welcome, everybody, and thanks, Lance, for that introduction. I just want to say to the folks standing back there, there's more seats up here, so y'all come on and grab some of these seats if you want to. That was very inspiring what Lance said, and before we get started in actually talking about some of the specifics of the plan, I want to introduce the team that has worked so hard from our company with you all on this. First of all, I want to, and you're going to hear from these folks later too, Courtney Zog, who is the project manager for this and keeps all the rest of us in line and has worked so hard. I also want to mention she doesn't work for us, but if Dwayne, if you ever want to let her go, we would love to have Vicki Anderson. She has just been a godsend, but I think we'd have a hard time wrestling her away. But Vicki's been awesome to work with. We also have Travis Lane, who I think of as our broadband expert, but he's got a lot of other expertise in economic development as well. And then Katie Meyer, who not only knows about downtown living, but she's living it every day of her life in her hometown of Covington, Kentucky. Okay, so that's enough about us. We also want to give a lot of thanks to the West Central Arkansas Planning and Development District, to the Metro Partnership, and certainly the City of Hot Springs and all of the others who came together to give us this opportunity, and that's the way we look at it, as an opportunity to work with all of you. And over and above all of that, we want to thank the people of Hot Springs for giving us this opportunity and welcoming us into the community and being so passionate about your downtown. When we started this process back in April, I guess it was, we said 3 things to the steering committee in the beginning. The first thing is, this is going to be your plan for Hot Springs. It's not going to be Thomas P. Miller and Associates' plan for you. It's going to be your plan for your future. The second thing that we said is, we don't create plans that sit on a shelf and collect dust. We create plans that kick up some dust. And the third thing we said is, we think you're going to have a lot of fun doing this. And we hope we have a lot of fun doing it with you. So with those 3 things in mind, I want you to use that as a way to kind of frame where we're going to go now, and to just tell you a little bit about the process of the project. We gathered a lot of data. We gathered some real numbers, some hard data. We also gathered a lot of ideas from you. As I said, this is your plan, not ours. What is amazing to us as planners is we've worked in cities of all size, all over the country. We have never seen the level of passion and engagement as we have seen from throughout the community. Elected officials, but not just elected officials. Folks whose job it is to be concerned about downtown. Merchants, residents, people who don't live downtown. We even had some visitors come in when we did the open house to talk to us about how they felt about the community. We had over 450 individuals participate in this process just since April. And I know there are a whole lot more out there that feel strongly and want to be involved in making this work. As I said, this is an action plan. This is a roadmap for action. This document would not be this thick if it weren't filled with actions that you can take. The other thing we did was we looked at the demographics of the community. We had to know where we were starting from before we could know how to get to where we wanted to be. We looked at the 4 neighborhoods that immediately surround the central business district and how making these tweaks that Lance talked about, tying together all of those great assets you already have, could have a very positive impact in those neighborhoods and help them revitalize at the same time that downtown is making its changes in growing its economy. All of these things that we did were designed to give us a roadmap, a roadmap for the future of downtown Hot Springs. I don't like to read things to people, but I know that the sun is going out. Can you all read that? Because part of having a roadmap is knowing where you want to go. And the steering committee, I think, did a great job of putting together a fantastic vision statement that lays out where you as a community want your downtown to go. Now, there's a second slide to this too, because they really want a lot of great things and have a big vision for downtown. So read that and I'll switch to the next slide. But basically, we're talking about downtown being this center of economic, social, and cultural interaction, this hub for the entire Hot Springs community. Here's the second part of that vision statement. But I mentioned before how important those surrounding neighborhoods are and downtown's role as a hub to kind of bring the community together. But it's real important to do that with the amenities that are needed in the 21st century, things like broadband, things that are going to encourage millennials as well as seniors to want to live in this downtown area. But it's important to provide those amenities, as Lance said, in the context of the great historic culture that you have in your downtown area. So having said that and kind of set the stage and laid out where you have told us you want to be in the future with downtown, in order to get there, there have to be some goals set. So at this point, I want to turn it over to Courtney to talk about these big specific goals the steering committee had.
Thanks, Tom. So as he mentioned earlier, the public engagement has been fantastic. And we took the ideas and the input from the public. We married it with best practice research that we do for across the country. We also corresponded it with qualitative and quantitative research focused on the physical assets, the people, and the neighborhoods. And we synthesized it into 3 goals that support your defined vision. The first one, to enhance the downtown experience by improving the infrastructure and quality of place amenities required to become one of America's best small downtowns. Some of the strategies and action steps that support this goal include streetscape development, walkability, supporting the Complete Streets ordinance that was passed earlier this spring, bike paths, parking accessibility, visibility, and availability, feasible uses for the former Majestic site, downtown quality housing and supporting amenities for it, the availability of quality hotels downtown, and a process to identify and tackle problematic policies. The next goal, if I go the right way, is to create and foster a stronger sense of community downtown. So throughout this planning process, it became very clear that there were numerous initiatives, organizations, and thought leaders working to elevate Hot Springs' profile, both economically and with its talent. The goals in this section focus on developing stronger collaborative partnerships within the downtown community, encouraging citizens from all different sectors to inclusively and collectively carry the charge of the downtown revitalization. And then the third goal is to position downtown as a vibrant economic engine to offer a place for its residents to live, work, and play, centered on supportive and emerging sectors. So economic vibrancy, its focus for these strategies and action steps were incentivization for startups, sector partnerships, collaborative frameworks and structures to address economic development, community attraction, pooling resources, and providing transparency. There was also a strong focus on broadband supply and demand and small business technology. So there's a lot to do, and some projects are so big and cut across all 3 of these goals. This led to the development of 5 transformational tactics. These are the 5 big ideas. First, is the redevelopment of the former Majestic site. Second, to enhance the streetscape and walkability. Third, to revitalize upper floors for residential. Fourth, to improve broadband to drive innovation. And fifth, to form a group of volunteers to advance downtown. So I'll turn it back over to Tom to talk about the first.
Thanks, Courtney. So there are lots of ideas in this plan. There are a whole lot more than 5 that you all gave us, but certain ones really started to percolate to the top. And if you all remember, those of you that were at the open house, we had to keep putting layers and layers and layers of paper over top of the ones that existed there, because so many people wanted to come in and tell us how important some things were. And at the very top of that was, as Courtney mentioned, the redevelopment of the former Majestic Hotel site. And of course, there were a lot of different ideas of what should happen there. And what we're going to talk about right now as we start to explore this idea a little bit is like one concept. It's not been feasibility tested. What it is this is what the community has said that you would like to see there. So just keep that in mind, that this is a concept for moving forward. And I want to talk to you really, as we get into that concept, about the importance of this site. It's not just important because it's large. It's very important because of where it's located. Most cities, their downtown, they have what's called a 100% corner, which is like the really I guess, kind of heart or center of their downtown. It's usually where the major banks are located, or major centers of government, or something else. And it's really that corner that never ever dies, no matter how bad downtown gets. I think your 100% corner is really at your north end here, or the potential for it to be really is, because you've got Park, you've got Weddington that come together to form Central. Visually, it's the terminus of this axis that is the spine of your downtown. Right next to it, you have a world-class educational institution in the Math and Science School. And there's also development opportunities on the other side of the site as well. You've got opportunities to create lots of additional parking and do it in a very creative way, and bring a lot more significance to that intersection and how that works within and for your downtown. So some of the concepts for redeveloping this site included a wide range of things, from performing arts centers to park space to parking, structured parking, outdoor entertainment, more hotels, conference spaces, things like that. With all of that in mind, I just want to say, as someone who came in to your community for the first time back in, like I said, it was February or March, that what I saw there was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This is your opportunity, your generation's opportunity, to create a legacy for the next generations, just like you've inherited the legacy of the bathhouses from the prior generations. This is not something that you have to be in a hurry to build something there next year. You need to be very, very deliberate in what you do and make sure that what goes on that site is something that's going to be sustainable and going to give your community an idea or an icon that your children and your grandchildren and hopefully your great-grandchildren are going to be very, very proud to inherit, to call Hot Springs their home, and something that will add to the world-class nature of your community. So I'll give you one piece of advice that's worth what you're paying for right now, and that is, do not take this responsibility lightly. In all seriousness, this should be a very serious and deliberate decision what happens on that site. So with that said, we took some of the ideas that seem to make a lot of sense in how they would fit together, how they would act to, as Courtney talked about, bringing the neighborhoods together, bringing the community together, and kind of, can you all start to see that now? I was trying to stall until the sun went down that a little bit. But basically, we're looking at right now that site that you saw outlined in yellow over there, and what some of the opportunities that have been proposed were at the very top of it. I guess that laser's not going to work in this light. At the very top there where you see the blue, some type of outdoor public bathing facility. We're in the Valley of the Vapors. The hot springs and the thermal waters are what made Hot Springs what it is today. It's part of your heritage, but finding a new way to kind of reinvent that for this next generation and generations to come, to express that in some way on the site. Some structured parking. So whatever uses end up on this site as well as the surrounding area, the opportunity to be able to accommodate vehicles in some type of parking structure there. A performing arts center, which could host both traveling shows as well as local productions, and become a focal point for arts and culture, which also should help tie in a great way with the Math and Science School next door. Some type of a public plaza where you would have a dedicated space to outdoor events, obviously not accommodating all of the huge events that you have here, but being able to have a home for some of those places. We also looked at the intersection itself, because that is part of this site. in that that's how traffic addresses it. So looking at the idea of putting a roundabout in there, again, to be able to create an icon, a visual icon, but also to help facilitate traffic and add to that iconic nature and significance of the site in your downtown. That shows a little bit of kind of how the roundabout might work in that area. And again, tying together the business community, the education community, if it's an arts facility that's there, along with the neighborhoods to create that kind of visual hub in the downtown. What in the heck is a slide of Portland, Oregon doing in a presentation in Hot Springs? Well, a lot of communities have an iconic sign. And some of you may have seen, you know, the Pike Place Market in Seattle and the big San Francisco Bay Terminal and things like that. When I saw what was on top of the Majestic Hotel, I'll have to point it that way, in that sign up there, I thought, here's an opportunity to give a nod to the history of the site without trying to recreate it, and in such a way that it's not going to create negative memories for people, but adaptive reuse of that sign to possibly create your own iconic sign, especially since you're home to so many visitors and so many folks come here from other places, and really make that statement that you are, in fact, in Hot Springs, Arkansas, which is the Valley of the Vapors. And again, it's a way to give a little nod to the history of it, reuse something on the site that is architecturally significant, but create, again, part of that legacy for future generations. So at this point, and I feel so passionately about this, I've been ignoring my notes up here. The other priority is, as you start to leave that site, and we'll take a little walk down Central, are enhancements to the walkability of the community. This is important from a number of perspectives. First and foremost, it promotes health. If folks are out walking, if they're out riding bikes, that promotes community health. It also is a great way to connect neighborhoods so that folks don't always have to get in their car. From an economic development standpoint, improving the walkability is going to put more foot traffic in front of businesses that need people to open their wallets and spend money in that retail store, that restaurant, that night spot, that entertainment venue. So it's an opportunity to get customers closer to being able to spend that money that drives the economy of downtown. So with that said, some of the enhancements to walkability in the streetscape in the downtown include the removal of on-street parking along Central Avenue. What that would do is then enable these other recommendations to happen here. And one is to add an urban bike path. This is one from another city. This is actually from Indianapolis, and it shows how you can put bicycle traffic separated from the vehicular traffic and also separate that from the pedestrian traffic and have all of them coexisting in one place at the same time. It would also allow additional pedestrian space. So the more visitors you're attracting, the more customers that are visiting downtown businesses. I don't know what that was. So you're going to add additional space for people to be able to walk and enjoy the people watching and seeing their neighbors. That additional space also will give you an opportunity to activate those downtown sidewalks with sidewalk cafes and other amenities. You know, people come downtown to see people. People are attracted to people. That's why we're not recommending that you install a bunch of fancy and expensive brick sidewalks. They may look pretty, but people are attracted to other people. So as much as you can do to activate that pedestrian space and not have big blank open sidewalks, that's going to make your downtown more vibrant. It's going to add to the economy and the success and prosperity of those businesses that call downtown home. It's also going to add to that quality of place that's going to make those upper floors want to be revitalized as residential or office spaces hotel spaces as well. Adding some street furniture can make downtown your true living room, and all kinds of amenities, and Katie will talk a little bit about that as well as landscape enhancements to make it greener, to make it more sustainable, and add to just the physical beauty of what's already a beautiful downtown. Now, if you took the parking away, the on-street parking away, what would you do with that additional space? So what I'm going to show you now are, can you all see that now that the sun's gone down a little bit? Okay, good. Thank you, Cole. So what would that do? And this is the section that's kind of right up here, and this shows like between Fountain Street and Canyon Court, that has the median in it right now. So if you got rid of the spaces on both sides of the streets, you'd still have the median in the middle, just like it is now. You'd still have the same travel lanes that you have now, 11 feet wide. On those, on the west side of the street, you could pick up a 2-foot landscape buffer, an 8-foot bicycle path, and again, this could tie into existing bike trails and proposed bike trails that would help connect neighborhoods to downtown, as well as with the park. So you could pick that up and have a 2-way bike trail, and then that would give you an additional, 17 feet of pedestrian space. In some of that, where it's appropriate, you could have cafe tables outside to help activate the space. In other spaces, there could be other activities going on, and just some additional walking around space to accommodate street furniture as well. On the other side of the street, you would pick up a 4-foot landscape buffer to buffer the traffic from the pedestrians, and 19 feet of open pedestrian space. If we go down into the next area, and this is in the area where Bathhouse Row is, we shortened up their front lawns there just for the purpose of the drawing here to demonstrate the street. But on both sides, you'd have a matching 14-foot pedestrian way, which again could accommodate some small cafes over on the west side of the street. We still have that 8-foot wide bike trail coming all the way through. Our landscape buffer, the same travel lanes that exist there right now. We didn't reduce the size of them. We lost something here. We lost our picture. Oh, it's back. Okay, it's back. The same travel lanes, and nothing on the national park side changes. They still have their 8-foot landscape buffer and the 14-foot sidewalk over there. So that gives you a little bit, if you imagine how wide the sidewalk is on the side of the street where the Bathhouse Row is, that would be the same width of the pedestrian area on the other side of the street as well. So what happens to Central Avenue as we head south? It feels like it chokes a little bit, right? It gets more narrow. Well, we didn't change those travel lanes either. And those travel lanes, even though it feels narrower, those are actually 2 feet wider than the widest part on the most north end here. Those are 13 feet wide. They would remain 13 feet wide. Again, we would have our 8-foot wide 2-way bike trail that would come through. And you pick up 18 feet of sidewalk on the east side and a 16-foot wide pedestrian space on the west side. Again, vehicular traffic in all these scenarios is accommodated, but the pedestrian becomes the focus. The pedestrian and the bicyclist becomes the focus. Okay. Now I want to turn it over to Katie to talk to us about what a great quality of place this creates for us.
Thank you. Like Tom said, it's been truly inspiring to see so many folks come and engage in this process along the way, and it's truly inspiring to see so many folks here tonight. So thank you for being here. For thousands of years, cities have been incrementally built, tested, and replicated based on the pedestrian. Only in the past century have development strategies been adapted to accommodate the automobile as the primary user. The reality is that the pedestrian-scaled and therefore walkable urban environment is safer, more inviting, more sustainable, and better for economic vitality. A pedestrian-scaled environment is safer because it decreases traffic speeds, includes better crosswalk provisions, has safer routes for cyclists, enhanced lighting, and ultimately more people. It is more inviting because by its nature, the design communicates to the individual that they are not only allowed to be there, but they are supposed to be there. It has also been shown that millennials and many empty nesters are attracted to smaller scale, more walkable, and bike-friendly communities. All over the country, millennials are choosing to rent rather than buy, live car-free, and support local and small business. These strategies can help Hot Springs take advantage of that cultural momentum. Finally, a pedestrian-scaled environment is more sustainable. Having more people and less cars is not only better for air quality, it decreases wear and tear per visitor on roads and infrastructure. The good news is that Central Avenue was scaled and built at the turn of the 20th century, before the automobile was commercially available to the everyday person. Therefore, design and public realm enhancement would truly be transformative. The defining elements of a walkable downtown are not only physical, but are use-related. People are attracted to people. Generating activity on the sidewalks through outdoor dining and seating improves the overall experience of the visitor. Outdoor seating spaces may be, as you can sort of see in the rendering there at the top, on decks and rooftops in order to maximize the sense of vitality and take advantage of the beautiful natural and built environment you have in Hot Springs. Downtown should be a place for exploration and discovery, not a path between point A and point B. Some of the physical considerations Tom spoke about, but in this slide you can see places to sit, safe from traffic, wayfinding, and add-on elements like this dog water example that communicate to the pedestrian that they are supposed to be there and that they should come back. This leads to another critical element to vibrancy, which is our third transformative tactic, the revitalization of upper floors. This topic came up over and over again in our one-on-one conversations, our stakeholder meetings, and public input sessions. You have a beautiful stock of historic buildings downtown, and while most have a first-floor retail tenant, the majority of upper floors remain vacant. As a part of this study, we created a downtown property inventory of every building on Central Avenue from the 100 to 900 block. In that study area, we found that, excluding the Aristocrat Manor, there are 15 residential units, 5 office units, and 153,034 square feet of underdeveloped upper floors. The beauty of these buildings left to us by our great and great-great-grandparents is that they are proven to be adaptable to diverse uses. Now is the time to create a new legacy in a 24-hour downtown through the adaptive reuse of the upper floors to reflect the 21st century economy. We recommend spurring private investment in the redevelopment of upper floors into high-quality, attractive residential units and professional office spaces by working with property owners to develop incentives and recruit tenants. Now, I would like to welcome Travis Lane, my colleague, to share our next transformative tactic.
All right, thank you. It's an honor to be here. So we've talked a lot about parking lots and sidewalks, landlords and upper floors. And now I'm here to talk about bits, bandwidth, and chips. We're improving broadband access and driving innovation in Hot Springs. All right, so in our not so distant past, Hot Springs had to learn how to benefit from new modes of power and transportation, from water and steam to electricity and combustion engines. Now, owing to revolutions in computing power, storage capacity, and bandwidth, we're creating an economy learning how to benefit from bandwidth. And we're moving quickly. 40% of US GDP is produced by companies that didn't exist 30 years ago. Access to abundant electricity transformed this country by making innovation technically possible. However, technology is not merely a system of machines with certain functions. It's part of a social world. We need to start thinking of our world and our community's opportunities for growth in terms of data as a fundamental input. Unfortunately, our broadband speeds have not kept up with processing power. Majority of the cities with the world's fastest connections are in other countries, and we should not count on other countries or communities waiting to play catch up. To continue to lead the world as our country did when it first introduced the commercial internet, we need world-leading connections. In particular, as the National Broadband Plan recommended, we need communities with next generation speeds, gigabit and higher, to be that place where the world learns what happens when lack of bandwidth is not a barrier to innovation. All around Hot Springs, we can glimpse a range of potential places for innovation just over the horizon. From the aerospace industry to education and healthcare providers, to small businesses who visualize the dawning era of big data that will revolutionize all manner of collaboration. So what's most exciting are those innovations that we're not even aware of yet. Who will be the Lewis and Clark on this journey? We also don't know that yet, but what we do know is that the journey is likely to occur in those communities like Hot Springs that take it upon themselves to make sure their citizens' creativity is not subject to bandwidth constraints. Like the journey of Lewis and Clark, it may not be easy, but like all great journeys, this one doesn't come with a map. The point is to make that map. We've already got a great start on that map, and we've got some great local cartographers. So up on the screen, you'll see 4 recommended actions. And Hot Springs has formed a multi-sector broadband leadership council to focus on increasing broadband access so that Hot Springs can lead the state in next generation broadband access. But what good is broadband access if you can't use it? We'll also be focused on addressing barriers to broadband adoption and digital inclusion, ensuring that every member of the Hot Springs community is online and digitally ready. Advanced broadband utilization and digital skills in the local labor force are crucial to the growth and retention of high-tech businesses. Key to doing this is local collaboration between employers and educators. And you've got amazing educational assets here in Hot Springs. From the Arkansas School for Mathematics, Science, and Arts to National Park College and Henderson State University, you're well positioned to lead in the 21st century economy. And American economic history teaches a clear lesson about infrastructure. If we build it, innovation will come. To increase the likelihood that new and innovative uses of broadband technology are discovered and refined within your community, an innovation hub or incubator could be developed so that young innovators and early adopters can discover and explore uses of technology. You've got great examples of incubators across Arkansas to learn from, and the hub could serve as a focal point for collaboration in the downtown area. And so what we've developed so far is an early version of a map that will point the way for Hot Springs as it strives to take advantage of the world's most valuable resource, information. So congratulations on stepping up to lead the way.
And the last transformative tactic is utilizing volunteers to advance the agenda for downtown. So research has shown that there's a strong link between volunteerism and economic development growth. It builds social capital that catalyzes neighborhood revitalization, civic engagement, and even bridges socioeconomic divides. This community-driven revitalizations empower citizens to drive growth and the attractiveness within their own communities. It has sprouted the phenomenon called tactical urbanism, which centers on the following: a deliberate, phased approach to instigating change, utilizing local ideas that are offered for local planning, so not a bottom-down approach. It is a short-term commitment with realistic expectations, and encourages social capital development. Tactical urbanism can involve anyone and is owned by no one. One of our recommended action, I went forward. One of our recommended actions is to formally create an all-volunteer group we lovingly call the Hot Springers. These volunteers would act as ambassadors and advocates to implement ideas. It would result in sustainable policymaking, programming, and implementation of projects downtown. The Hot Springers have been modeled off of groups from Syracuse, New York, and Cincinnati, Ohio, and Tom West was actually a part of one of the founding groups in Cincinnati. One thing to note is that the process here doesn't end at the attendance of a city council meeting, but it drives action. And this plan is all about action. This community has determined what's on the action item list, such as, which now I can go to the next slide, here. And Tom, I'll turn it back over to you.
I won't go through all of these. There are literally dozens of actions that you guys want to happen. So what I'm going to do is leave each one of these up for a few minutes, let you guys take a look at them. I'm going to encourage, and yeah, that was planned. He is supposed to be planned. Let's get excited here. Because you can get online with the city, the partnership, the development district on their websites and look at this, and then you don't have to spend a whole lot of trees to print it out. And you can get through there and look at all of these different action items that are in there.
Hey, I'm not complaining because I really need to work. But hitting up my buddies got me feeling like a jerk. $100 condo, 2 on the rent. I get a check on Friday, but it's already spent.
I thought there were 3. There were 4 slides for that. I need to go to the math and science school so I can learn how to count. Okay. So at this point, what we want to do is we want to ask you guys if you have some questions, and we'll try to answer them. The steering committee members have indicated that they're willing to also try to answer some of those questions. But so that everybody can kind of hear what those questions are, if you all could come up and I'll hand you the microphone so that everybody can hear your question, and we'll try to get that answer for you. I will tell you this, instead of getting into like a lot of specifics about where's the funding for this going to come from or whatever, a lot of those things are identified in the plan, and we would probably, because there's so much in there that you guys want to do, and we put so many of those details in there, we'd have to rummage through there to find that detail. So if we can stick to like what the big issues are and kind of the big concepts or some basic questions about the plan, I think folks are willing to try to answer those for you. So who wants to be the first up here with the microphone? Anyone? Huh? Yes, sir. Everybody hold your ears for a second while I try to pull this out of here.
Well, I'm very excited about the opportunities we have downtown, and my question is, what's our next step? You know, where do we go from here?
You know what? We're going to answer that question, but I'm going to hold that for a second, see if anybody has any others, because Dwayne and Lance are going to come back up, and they're going to talk about what that next step is. Anybody else have another question before that? Yes, sir. Were you afraid you were going to photobomb them? You were photobombing.
You talked about all the integration parts of what you're going to do with the city and how you're going to integrate the stores into being and the franchise, well, not franchise, but the businesses with what's going on there. But what happens with the ASMMA, the school itself? I mean, how are you going to integrate that school into this process that you've got here? Because that's a big campus. So.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to do that. Remember, this is your plan. You guys are going to do this. But one of the things that we talked about, and the school was involved in the planning process, and we talked about things that they want to do. But we also looked at this as an opportunity. Again, it's not just about your built environment. This plan really is about people. And one of the things that we heard both from businesses as well as folks at the school, and not just there, but also the rest of your K-12 system here in the area, is opportunities for internships and work experience. Those of you who are familiar with SCAD down in Savannah know how that school, and granted that's post-secondary, but how that is integrated into the downtown and is an integral part of that. So we kind of looked at that as kind of a vision for where we would hopefully be able to integrate the math and science school, but also K-12 into your downtown as well. And again, that's a people thing, not necessarily a physical thing. I don't know why we have this disco light going on when the music has stopped. So there comes our tech guru to fix that, I think. Who else has a question? Yes, sir.
So when you get into the winter months, and it's my New York accent. When you get into the winter months and you have no parking on Central, what's your, I mean, is that going to be open during the winter? Because you're going to have, for the small businesses that are on Central, like the toy shop, etc., including the Ohio Club, people are not going to go to the parking deck if it's 20 degrees. And I've been here when it's 5 degrees. What do you do for those businesses during the winter months? Is there a plan for that?
Well, parking is more than just removing those spaces and relying on this garage. There are a lot more recommendations in there about what also has to happen in order for that to work. It works in other cities that are in much colder climates than Hot Springs. Yes, people will do some walking, but people walk in Minneapolis. People walk in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. The thing that we want to do is to promote the convenient parking that may not be right there on Central, but it may be just right around the corner. So even if there's not a space right now in front of the business you want to visit on Central, you may park a block or so away. You may actually end up parking closer off street, but you have to walk around the corner to get there, as opposed to even a strip mall or the shopping mall. You may be parking at the end of the parking lot. You know, you go Christmas shopping and there are a lot of cars there. You may actually walk a further distance to get to the door of that business. And down here, you may not be able to see the front door because you have to walk around the corner. But part of that experience also, as I think Katie was alluding to, is it's all about discovery and it's about an experience. It's not about getting necessarily from A to B. But those other businesses that are in between where you're going to park and maybe what that person's destination is, they may pick up, they may be selling hot chocolate, and that may be an opportunity to step in and discover a new business you hadn't frequented before. So, you know, we all have to deal with the weather, no matter where we are. People have to walk from the parking lot at the shopping mall as well during the wintertime. At least where I live, nobody comes and picks me up in a heated car and drives me to the front door of the store. So, yeah, provisions are made for that. Yes, ma'am.
I don't disagree that that's going to be an iconic corner where the Majestic resides. Are we just focusing going south with the walkability, or is that going to be going north as well? I can think of two businesses I'm affiliated with that are in eyeshot of Majestic, but they're north. So I'm just curious, is that walkability and cafe feeling going to be going north as well?
Yes, it certainly can. And in the neighborhood portion of it that Katie talked about, the plan also includes neighborhood recommendations for all 4 of the neighborhoods, which address that walkability, that bikeability between those neighborhoods and that central core. And I know that some things are being done right now, I believe, with community development block grant funds to improve the walkability with some of those neighborhoods and improve sidewalks. So yes, the idea is You have to start somewhere, and we're starting with the core on this, but certainly, and as the pedestrian traffic increases, your bike traffic increases, you want to make sure that you're building those accommodations as you go. It's a good question, really good question, because you have to connect those neighborhoods for this to work. Other questions? Okay, I'm not seeing hands go up. So at this point, I want to ask Lance Spicer to come back up, and Dwayne Pratt, if you could come back up. Remember, we told you before that we don't like to create plans that collect dust. We like to kick plans that, or we like to create plans that kick up dust. Guys, what are we doing next?
I'll let Dwayne start.
Hi, I'm Dwayne Pratt. I'm the director of the West Central Arkansas Planning and Development District. And we, along with the Hot Springs Metro Partnership, were the grant recipient of the federal funding from the Economic Development Administration that made this project possible. And the way our role in that process and in this project was to guide the planning process. And the way that we did that was through the steering committee that had been recognized earlier. And so that committee met today to talk about the completion of the plan. But rather than disband that committee and everyone go their separate ways, that group of volunteers this morning decided to continue to meet, to continue to try to move the plan forward, to work with the city and with the business community to implement the action items that are noted in the plan, all with the idea of making Hot Springs a better place to live, work, and play, particularly the downtown. I kind of approach things from a regional perspective, and so a vibrant downtown means a vibrant Hot Springs, and a vibrant Hot Springs means a vibrant Garland County, and a vibrant Garland County means a vibrant region with jobs for our children and grandchildren who are going to be the primary beneficiaries of what we're doing here. And with that, I'll let Lance add anything he'd like to.
Yeah, thank you, Dwayne. I think as the city of Hot Springs, from our perspective, we'll definitely want to bring this particular plan, set up a work session not only with the steering committee, with our board of directors, so that they can truly digest this plan and tear into it and see what items are meaningful within it and falls within their strategic plan goals. And then obviously once we move into that process, I think we definitely would like to see some type of adoption of that plan in some form or fashion so that we can fully give our total endorsement for the plan and everything that's within it. Thank you everybody for coming. We appreciate the turnout. This has been a great event, and we're happy everyone was here. Thank you.